Hello, Prajna.
Hello.
Angry bird, Prajna?
No, I was angry bird.
Okay.
Sure why. They called this place not Manchester originally. It would have gone by the name of Marmukium. So Marmukium is the first name for a settlement here, and actually that directs into English as the breasted hill fort. So you can kind of imagine what the Romans were thinking about as they were looking out over all of those distant hills. But that was the Romans for you, and as I say, they disappeared after 400 years. But when they did leave, this unfortunately then plunged us into something known as the Dark Ages. And it's called the Dark Ages not because it literally got any darker, but because of what happened during this time period. Society broke down. All of the educated people are left, and basically we reverted back to being very tribal. The Germans came along about 300 years later, we believe. They were as tribal as us, and nothing really changed. So it wasn't until we got invaded again in 1066 by the French that we start to see the England that we recognise today. Basically, he introduced two notable things to the UK. He reintroduced the process of building stone castles, which we find throughout the UK, and then he also started something called the Doomsday Book. And the Doomsday Book was as bad as it sounds, guys. Basically, it was our world, the first tax ledger that we had here in the UK, and basically sent his men out to find out what land you had, what animals you were going to have, what crops you were going, but ultimately how much he could tax you. And of course, our tax system is still built on that today, and of course we went on. The mill owners were very, very good at building themselves new mills to make more money. It just made sense. But what they weren't so good at doing is building housing, building drainage systems for the people that were arriving in their droves to come and work in the cities. Basically, they would build terrace housing, which you will see 40 to 50 people living in one house with sharing one toilet that's out in the garden, no running water. All of those coal factories and all of those mills bellowing out that thick just over to our right hand side. That is actually looking out to a different national park. So that is over to the Yorkshire Dales. The Lake District lies in front of us and to the left hand side. And once we come around this roundabout, we will be entering the national park. Only technically one lake, which is Lake Braithwaite, right up at the north of the park. But as we drive around, if we were to count them today, we'd probably get an answer somewhere between 14 and 16 lakes, and then on top of that, the mountainous pools of water. The year we're at, probably at this time of year, we've had a little bit of a dry patch actually, so maybe only 130 to 150 bodies of water in the whole national park as we drive around. Okay guys, so a couple of things are going to come but this is the biggest one in England. It's the most visited in the UK as well, so we'll be part of that number today. But about 20 million people will visit the national park throughout the course of this year. So there's a little bit of traffic as we were coming in then, so it might be a little bit busier this weekend than it has been. Probably the busiest weekend so far this year. That's obviously for this valley, pass, we find that there is a little place called the Climb. This changed from a horse and cart route into a car route, which is exactly why it looks ridiculous that I'm driving on this tiny road right now. We didn't build them or design them as car routes, but these walls can be anywhere up to 1,000 years old around the national park, so they're protected, which means that we can't move them. So that's why you have these tiny little roads with these massive vehicles on today. Some of them are restricted, we're not allowed up certain ones, but by and large it's the fact that the cars have got much bigger over the last 15 years that causes the problems today. So we're on the Kirkstone Pass, and I mentioned earlier, as good a bodyguard as he was at night. I always wonder this because there's a little stat that makes me doubted perhaps, he oversaw 5 different kings. Does anyone see a problem with that if you're their bodyguard and you oversee 5 different kings? Exactly. But he was very, very well revered. He was taken on by successive kings. He was taken on by kings that even opposed each other on the battlefield. He would have had the king's ear in court, but he would not have been able to speak. So eventually, under his 3rd king, King John, he's the greedy king, he finally is offered the heiress of Lancaster's hand. That's why I pointed out Lancaster to you. He was offered to marry the heiress of Lancaster. He would have inherited a fair bit of land down there, but actually he wasn't interested. He was more ambitious than this, and he waited and he waited and he waited to the tender age of 46 before he finally married. And he actually married the Duke of Pembroke's daughter. Now the Duke of Pembroke was the 2nd most powerful man in the country, only to the king. And ultimately, on his death, William de Marshall inherited all of his lands. The reason I'm telling you all this, guys, is because we're now in the sort of area that he would have inherited his lands. So I want you to use your imagination a bit. I'm going to put on a piece of medieval music. We're going to pretend we're William de Marshall, and we're coming up here on horseback 800 years ago and exploring this land for the first time. And when we get to the dock, we'll stop for some photos.
Are you scared, Prajna? It is scared.
Told you there'd be escape sheep, didn't I? Okay guys, so I think you would have liked it basically. We're now actually on the highest road in the park already, so this is the highest we will get over the course of the 3 days. We're going to come back over here on the last day as well, but I just wanted to make sure, now we've got the lovely weather, that you could get these views. So we're up at about 456 metres above sea level, which doesn't sound like a huge height. It's actually half the highest mountains that sit in the national park. The highest mountain is a place called Scarfell Pike, which we may, if we're lucky, see in the distance on day 2, and that's 979 metres. We're just next to a place called Red Screes, which is just this area over to the left hand side, and that's 776 metres tall. So we've got that historic building that I said coming up on the right hand side. It's the Kirk, so it dates back to 1496. Just going to stop in this car park quickly guys, grab a couple of photos, grab yourself some fresh mountain air and stretch your legs. And pepper, and it's normally served to you in a spiral. If you get the traditional ones, they're about a foot long, normally with mashed potato and onion gravy. However, if you still want to try it, but you're not anywhere near that hungry, you can get it in a lot of the place actually. But that was something to look out for, and perhaps try later today, or we'll get another opportunity to go by one of their shops tomorrow. So that's very, very famous gingerbread that's been made for over 150 years. So guys, we're gonna So just coming up on the left hand side, guys, there's a lovely little old bridge from the 16th century. This is known as Sheep Dip Bridge. Basically a lot of the sheep that we have in this area, they are known for their wool. But the trouble with having sheep that are bred for their wool is you need to keep them clean. And it's very, very difficult to wash sheep. So what they came up with was, they built this bridge, they would usher the lambs across it, and they would then shut the gate. And the mothers, the ewes, would then have to swim through the stream underneath, thus washing themselves and saving the farmer a job. So it's certainly less traumatic for the farmer, whether or not it was. let's say. We'll be down there in about 4 or 5 minutes. So guys, we actually drove past this body of water yesterday. Can I just ask, did anyone stay in Manchester before they got this trip? Or did everyone? So guys, I'm assuming that most of you have been into the centre of London, is that right? And you've all seen Trafalgar Square? If you look at the top of the mountain on the right hand side there, this is known as the Lion and the Lamb. You can see that little bit that peaks right up to the top. That's supposed to look like one of those lions of Trafalgar Square. And it's overlooking a little stone which is supposed to be the lamb, so that's the nickname, the Lion and the Lamb. And actually, anywhere north of this point would actually have been the ancient kingdom of Northumbria. Northumbria was one of the largest kingdoms in the UK, and they're actually responsible for uniting the country of England back in the 9th century. They married into the kingdom of Wessex, which was down around Cornwall. These two were the most powerful kingdoms in the land, and no one else was going to compose them, and this is where we started to get our knights from. So basically you had the two families that became the royal family, and all of the other little kingdoms then became sort of subordinate to them, and this is where we started to get our lords and our knights from, and they would sort of serve under them, and they would just pay them tax money. They still pretty much run their land autonomously, but they had to answer to him, and they had to give tax money, but not only that, they had to give men for the army as well. So this is the beginning of England and then the United Kingdom, all thanks to this kingdom of Northumberland. So we still have a county called Northumberland. It's on the other coast today, so it would have been all the way across. It would have been a thick stripe across the north of England, and it actually would have been made up by the Vikings, so it would have been a Viking kingdom at one point. Just whilst we're talking a little bit about the Vikings there, and it's the right time of year, I'm just going to tell you why we have Easter when we do have Easter in this country. It's a really bizarre story. So basically what happened is the original king, going way back into the 6th century of Northumberland, he became king when he was about 11 years old, and his sort of guardians were very, very concerned that he'd be killed, and that somebody else would try and
দাদা এখানে এসে বমি করে চলে গেছিল ওই সাইক্লিং করতে করতে। আগে তো ছিল না, এখন হয়ে গেছে।
Alright guys, so we've got an lovely little church just down there to the left hand side. This would have been where Beatrice Potter would have been going to church, and she would also help fund the renovation work that went on that church back in the 1950s. So we'll shortly be going past her house, as I mentioned. So Hilltop Farm is the famous place associated with her. Hilltop Farm, as I say, wasn't really her residence. She owned it, she ran it, but she wouldn't have actually lived in a farm because she was far too wealthy to do so. So she actually lived on a house opposite, so I'll point that out as we go past in a few minutes' time. Right hand side now, you can see that house with the bay window. That was the house that Beatrix Potter actually lived in. It's quite a big, nice house, as you can see. And as we go around the next couple of corners, in fact, all the way on the left hand side, all the way round now, this is all part of Hilltop Farm. So this is the area where she'd go and do a lot of her writing, but the entrance just round the corner. Big farm, so many, many buildings in that complex. guys directly in front of us, you can see some of the taller mountains in the Lake District National Park. They get up to about 850 to around 979 metres, so we can just about make out Scarfell Pike if we're lucky. Just in the distance through the clouds, might be a little bit hazy today actually. Just on our left hand side, this is Esthwaite Water, and this is actually the only privately owned body of water in the Lake District National Park, solely used for fishing, so no boats, no swimming is allowed in this lake, and you catch things like pike and Icelandic chard in this area.
We would see them hug the lead away. The most persons with George Murray. The rear guard men, all in the guns, urging the horses to hurry. Lakeland bells wore crowns of rosy red as the evening sun was sinking. Murray's men shall test our steel again, but your Cumberland was thinking. On the height of Clifton our steeds were left to rest as we ran wide past George Murray to gain the bridge where River Lowther flows to halt him in his hurry. Cumberland's men scattered in the fields, many of us dying. Desperate I fought them till falling in the snow, the Scotsmen did surround me. Then came the pain, my breath was cut away as a deadly saber found me. Found me. Where do I land? Who am I? No man could ever be sure.
sheep. Well, they actually change as they get older, basically. You go for that one? Okay. Yeah, we'll give it a go. Let's see what he says. I think I can get past him, but not up there. There we go.